Welcome to my son's kitchen. He asked me to show him how to make pastry, and I thought it was about time for him to learn the great secrets of his great-great-grandmother, who is pastry chef for the Queen. So, this is all about world-class pastry secrets. So, the first thing to begin with is to follow the recipe that's right on the Tenderflake. The real secret comes with how you deal with the ingredients. So you start off by looking at this. It calls for 5½ cups of flour. That's what I use. I don't like using too much flour. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to measure 4½ cups into the bowl, and I leave 1 cup on the side. So I have the measuring cups, and I grab a knife just to, when I put the flour in there, I'm just going to scrape it off so it's exactly 1 cup. So here's my bin of flour, and there's 1 cup ready to go in the bowl. 1 cup. 2 cups. 3 cups. 4 cups. And ½ cup. Okay, so that was 4½ cups I put in the bowl. And then the 1 cup I'm going to have on the side. It's so important not to put too much flour into the original recipe. Some of that flour is meant to go around and on the outside. Better to be skimpy with the flour to start with than to end up with too stiff of a dough in the end. Next, we need 2 teaspoons of salt. Here's a beautiful box. I love having these boxes ready for cooking, rather than trying to shake them out onto a spoon to measure out. So, with my poor eyes, I'm looking for 1 teaspoon. Son, 1 teaspoon? So, we measure out 2 of these. Now, I'll have to try very hard not to get too much. You know, just like the flour, you should measure it right just level. Okay, I'm gonna mix that salt into here. So, you know, 2 teaspoons of salt. And then next, I'm going to show you how to put in the Tenderflake lard. This is a very important step you need to watch carefully. This is the real trick of it all, is how to use the pastry cutter. And that you don't work the dough too much, but you work the lard into it. They say to work it so it looks like oatmeal. Never ever looked like oatmeal to me, but I know what it's supposed to look like. So, here we go. I used the full 1 pound of lard. And Tenderflake is my favorite. It's the one that has always worked out for me. Some people use Crisco, the vegetable shortening, trying to be healthier. But if you're going to make dessert, you might as well go full force. I'm just cutting it up a little bit beforehand to make it easier when I use the pastry cutter. But this is just something that I do. You can very well just put the whole block in there and work it with a pastry cutter, but why? You really want to work this dough the least amount possible, so I really do try and cut it up beforehand. Oh, and also, it's important, before you bake anything or cook anything in your kitchen, make sure you wash your hands. It's only fair to the people that are going to eat your food. And also yourself, as the amount of pathogens around nowadays. Okay, this is called a pastry cutter. So, working the pastry. This is how you do it. Like I said, I have very clean hands. I wash them very well. You should sing the whole happy birthday song. Especially if you're going to be cooking or baking for other people. And you see how I'm just putting this in. It is possible to cut the pastry in using 2 knives. I'll show you an idea of how they do it like this. You never ever mix it in with a fork or a spoon. It would just be disastrous. That's what you don't want to do. The secret is how you use the pastry cutter. You see? Do you see how the lard is mixing in here? Beautiful. Just beautiful. You can also get the big tubs of Tender Flake, and on the tub it'll tell you exactly how many cups. I think it's like 2 1/3 cups. See there. There, you see? It goes into like crumbles. It's not rubbed in, it's cut in. Now this is a big part of the secret of doing pastry, is knowing how to cut it in. I'm trying very hard to be neat here. Always good to wear an apron, of which I'm not, but it's a good idea. There you go. It's looking very nice. Now I'm just going to make sure that the lard is cut up between all the flour in there. That, you know, you kind of like have to push it to the bottom because, you know, you just want to see that that lard is interspersed throughout all the flour. There you go. You know, this is about ready now to go to the next step. Now, I am actually going to have to use a cup. Usually you'd have another measuring cup, but since I don't have another measuring cup, this one is 2/3 of a cup. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour this into there for now. And I'm going to use this for the vinegar and the egg. So that was using the pastry cutter. And the next step is I'm going to take 1 tablespoon of vinegar, 1 egg, plus water to equal 1 cup. And that's cold water I need. So Andrew, if you want to start the cold water going. here is the tablespoon, right? Andrew, with your good eyes? No? See? It's a good thing I asked him. 1 tablespoon? Okay. So, like I said, I need 1 tablespoon of vinegar and 1 egg, and then cold water in the cup. So, getting my vinegar, and right to the line, and then I put it in the 1 cup. Right to the very top of the spoon. I really appreciate using real measuring spoons, and that way there's no guessing. You know, I never trust the spoons, and plus they hold it so nicely with the rounded looks. Okay, an egg. Look at this, a nice brown egg going in there, although any color of egg works. You can even use duck eggs if you wanted to. There we go. Voila, the vinegar, the egg. Now I'm going to take a little fork and just mix it together. That's an important thing too, yes. I'm going to give it a little mix before you put in the water. Okay, now I'm going to fill this to the top with cold water. Now, a very tricky part is knowing how much to put in here. It kind of foamed up on me, so I want to make sure I do have the full cup. It's a good thing I came back here to put some more water in here. Okay, so I kind of pour a little bit along the edges. I put almost all of it in, but you see, I leave a little bit because I want to see just how it's going to stick together. Because it's almost like different days, you don't need as much, and different times. I don't know whether different times of the year, especially in the place that I live in, Northern Ontario, where even in one day, it could change, that you can have the air conditioner and heater on in the same day. There we go. Now you don't mix it too much, just make sure you're getting it wet. Because if you mix it too much, you're rooting it. Okay. It's good, but it could be better. It could be a little bit more stickier. So, a little bit more in there. I actually like my dough a little sticky, personally. But you know, I do know not to stir it too much. Like that line is so important to know. There we go, I ended up using it all. Yeah, and like I said, I do like it sticky when I work with it, which means that you need a good base of flour on the counter when you go to roll it out. Do we have a rolling pin? The one thing we weren't thinking of. So, a rolling pin. We will need to pick up something. Okay, so the next part